is better. Supposed to appear here. The first movie will be Anatomy of the Fall, the poster. And I think this movie made such a strong impression on me because I was a little bit obsessed. It was before it had become a mainstream, but I was a little bit obsessed with cluster B personality disorders. Right now, not so much, but because it's mainstream right now, so I'm just like, no, no mainstream for me. And because I'm not like other girls. And this was like a perfect representation of this dynamic of how, for me at least, this is how I read the movie, read the context of the movie. My friends who watched it disagree with me at some point, and I mean, you gotta check it out for yourself and decide and judge for yourself. And this is the most beautiful thing because, you know, we can have different opinions, and that's so cool. Well, we can, right? Because in the modern world, you cannot know for sure. Anyways, basically, this is the movie about suspicion. So the story goes, there is a family and they live in some kind of village, like not in a big town or anything, so they're not really connected to other people. It's like a countryside, and they live there, and husband commits suicide. It's not a spoiler because the movie begins with this event, so not spoiler, but still. And everyone is suspicious about the wife because they assume that she pushed him somehow, maybe because of sorry for that, maybe because of verbal abuse, maybe because you know, she's kinda in the mix of events, and the judge wants to see if that's true or not. And the whole movie is going through like a court process and with lawyers and judges and discussions, and half of the movie is in French. So beware, you gotta watch with subtitles. But for me, this was a really interesting perspective, really interesting narration, you know, and how narrative shifts. I am a little bit obsessed right now with this shape-shifting of the story of villains and rescuers, so on and so forth. And I've seen a lot of people reading her behavior differently, but for me it was like a good representation of verbal abuse. But again, some of my friends disagree, and this is fun to discuss. I feel like this movie, and with all the drama, with all the discussions, it's like really dialogue movie. There is not much of an action. I feel like that might be interesting to contemplate, and interesting to look from different perspectives. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I like to do these type of things to get in their heads. Yeah. So basically, So, she did not make a film, she played in it, sorry. But anyways, this movie is worth checking out if you like to this dialogue type of film. Other film that is the same type is Carnage. Maybe I will put poster here. I was hoping that I will edit videos, but I can get lazy, and this is my problem. But maybe here, future me. Anyways, Carnage is also a good movie that is built entirely on dialogues, but still is super intense and pleasant to watch. So if you liked this movie, Anatomy of the Fall would be a great choice, especially with this female archetype. You know, not very often shown, by the way. The next one will be We Need to Talk About Kevin. And I know this is an old one, and I don't care, because I included it in the list of interesting female characters. And this was interesting, not only plot-wise, because I am very lucky and I haven't spoiled myself an ending, so I didn't see any spoilers, and I was watching a movie not knowing anything about it. I knew only that Tilda Swinton is playing it there, so is featured there, so that was the only thing that I knew about this movie. But anyways, I was very puzzled with some of the video essays that I've watched on YouTube about her being a bad mother. And this is mostly a movie about motherhood as, I don't know, as a little bit of annoying follow through in female stories, you know, in female, I want to say narratives, but it's something different, like stereotypes, because We Need to Talk About Kevin is a film about motherhood, about children and disconnect with a child. The main story is dynamic from my point of view. It's like there is something going on with her son and she cannot put a finger on it, you know. But an interesting part is that she was kinda passive in this, in the choosing her life, you know, in the deciding for her life. She was kinda, you know, everyone's doing that. Why cannot I do that? Something like this. And the story is actually based on the book. I haven't read the book, but I've started it. But I thought that Lynn Ramsey did the film greatly, and I thought with her touches it became a masterpiece with the book. I've seen also some fragments of it, and I was just like, maybe it's not my thing. I liked the movie better. But anyways, so interesting how some women decide that motherhood is something that they will do because society expects them to do that, and I don't see anything bad about being a mother, of course, but in her case it's like very interestingly shown how it can be in this, but I think her fatal flaw is being passive, not deciding for her life, not like, you know, decision. It's like when you decide, you cut something off, and I think inaction is also an action, so like the lack of action is also an action, the lack of decision is also a decision. she couldn't support it with life forces because she went so far in her normal life, in her normal decision making, that there was no coming back from this swamp of comfort, because it's it was normal for her to decide. And I mean, for some people it's great, and I think there should be like periods in life where you kind of decide for more like comfort, and it's okay to be flexible from this point of view. But for her like betraying herself with this passive approach, which seems harmless but still kind of not, because it chips away from her self-worth. I felt like it chipped away from her self-worth, and eventually she ended up where she ended up. And this passive approach, this frozen state, for me was obvious throughout the film with her son Kevin, right, and with her husband, and with her like just existing, and existing not as in, I don't know, carpe diem memento mori, but as in, I don't know, this questions rise, like, what should you do? You love your child because it's your child, but you don't like him at the same time. And the movie explores this topic, like the dynamic between those two. It's really interesting. So, the film about motherhood and apathy, and from some point of view, betraying yourself, betraying oneself. Anyways, we move to the next one, and the next one will be also partially about motherhood. I don't know why I wrote this one also down, because they are really similar. I mean, they have the same topic, the same theme with motherhood and stuff, but for me it was also an interesting archetype of a character, and it touched upon some, I don't know, really painful, real, types of struggles for women as well. But so, anyways, the poster will be here, I think. It is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I cried a lot. I really like this movie. For me, there are some sort of positive movies that manifest life, and for me, this was the one. It's also really filled with action. It explores like this genre of like multiple universes, parallel universes. If you like this type of stuff, good for you. I mean, I don't mind it, but I'm not a fan of. I'm okay with it, I think. But anyways, Everything Everywhere All at Once deeply touched me because of how positive it ends, and of how interesting the story goes. For me, at least, the dynamic between characters is also cool. So the story goes, there is a family of migrants, and they built their business, like really small one, in a virgin country, and they have a daughter, and this daughter is already an American. So and this Asian family struggles to fill this gap between them and their daughter, because their daughter is already like grew up in different culture, and they have this leap, right? They have this gap to fill because they don't understand each other anymore, and she is way more, of course, generational gap, but also cultural one, because she is already in different circumstances. She is already doesn't have to, I don't know, build anything from scratch. She doesn't have to. So she has different attitude. It's neither good nor bad. It's just the things, how the things are in this movie. So, and they're trying to understand each other, but basically the daughter is just like, dude, chill, and her mother and her father cannot get along, of course, and the mother is like a working horse archetype, which is like, I don't know, in my surroundings I have seen many types of women being like working horses, in a way, basically. Anyways, yeah, she's like a working horse, and she's trying to just survive, so basically in a survival mode, and the story kind of helps her break it in a way. I won't spoil you anything, but for me what was interesting is that sometimes problems are not also this kind of steps towards breaking this vicious cycle of surviving. And this was for me an important part in the movie, because she was like doing automatic things, like problems after problems after problems, and she was like stuck in this mindset that she was looking for another problem, you know. There was nothing exciting in the future, and her focus was only on problems. And I know it's like super basic thing to say, just try to shift your mindset, try to shift your mindset, try to shift your focus towards something positive. But I really believe that partially that helps. Of course, your circumstances might be not good enough, right? Not pleasant enough, and that happens, and that's valid. But also understanding that this takes baby steps towards getting out of the survival mode, towards getting out of, I don't know, depressive episodes, towards getting out of this constant anxiety spiral. This like baby steps, and those baby steps are about putting boundary. For example, for her, it was like also putting boundary with her total understanding, and this understanding is not like big breakthrough as we are used to think, right? Like, oh, I will change forever. No, it's just like little day-to-day stuff. Teaching yourself appreciate, teaching yourself love, and this is. I cried a lot during this movie. I don't know, maybe not a lot, maybe only in the ending, you know, or something. But it was so close to my heart. I don't know. So if you're looking for a positive movie, positive one, right, to inspire you to grow in this real way, because for me the most problem with those kind of movies, those kind of philosophical conclusions, right, with the, oh, you should just focus on day-to-day stuff, on small things, take baby steps towards this kind of positive mindset, is that for me it feels a little bit superficial, right? When one says, like, I don't know, uses some fancy camera lens and does like long shots of nature or something, and just like, nature, yeah, nature is cool, though. But for me it feels like I don't get this closure with those type of films, and with this one I got it, you know, because it felt real, it felt entertaining, and it felt like someone who has written it really understands this mechanisms. I don't know if it makes sense, but for me it was also interesting archetype, right? It's more of an archetype, like working horse or something. Working donkey. Is it a thing? Working donkey, working horse. I think it's a thing, but still it applies. It's not only female archetype, but for this movie it was a female, so I think it could be anything actually. Anyways, the last one, that actually is not on my list for some reason, but right now I'm thinking of it and I'm just like, that was a good one. Here, right? Click. It was Dogville, of course, Lars von Trier, and text doesn't fit into my fatal flaw concepts. Okay, anyways, now it's just interesting female archetypes. No worries. All the films that I've listed are good, so you won't be disappointed, I feel like. So maybe some of them are controversial, but all of them are good, basically. Yeah, and the Dogville, right? And it also explores a topic of kindness. And this is so beautiful because kindness, in a way that most films like to show it, is something of something enriching, right? But Lars von Trier, of course, doesn't like social boxes, and he just like destroys them and flips them, and I don't know, laughs at them, mocks them. But I think a great portion of my audience watched this movie, of course, because you're so smart, guys. I'm impressed. Yeah, and maybe some of you haven't, but if you have, of course, you can write a comment down below and tell me how you like this movie. I liked it very much. Now it's one of my favorites, of course. It's a long list, but still. And it was so fascinating that 3 hours flew unnoticed. I don't know. It was breathtaking. I think it's the best of Lars von Trier's movies, and I cannot say that. I cannot say that this is my favorite director or anything, but it's like a very interesting director, and it feels like he's trying to reproduce similar ideas in his movies, and there are some that I really like, but this one is like opus magnum or something, because it's like things that he's trying to do in his other movies, but perfectly managed with the pace, with the trash, trash, I mean, as a genre, right? Because he adds some, of course, this kind of disgusting side of Lars von Trier. But if you are sensitive towards, I don't know, towards this dirty stuff, don't watch it, because it has some. But overall, I think it's the softest movie that I've seen. I know the softest would be Melancholia. Yeah, the softest would be Melancholia. Okay, second softest movie that he made, in my opinion. But of course, it's a masterpiece, and there is an interesting concept with the theater. Like there are no backdrop in this movie. It's like all silhouettes of houses, all silhouettes of something, right? Of the walls. There are no actual walls. It's like a theater play in a way, but you don't notice it. It's actually a good trick, to make a metaphor. But I feel like everyone has watched these movies. Let me know. Have you watched any of them? What else can you devise as interesting archetypes? It cannot be only female. It was just for my list. I'm not obsessed with those types. But and let me know, of course, if you like these types of